What's going on, guys? Alex here with TFL Car. Welcome back to our gear-related video review series, TFL Reviews, and we're calling this segment Cool or Crap. And in today's episode, I'm going to be reviewing this FenSens wireless backup camera. So this backup camera requires no wiring or anything. It actually just uses your smartphone to pair. So there's no screen or anything included. You don't need to run any wires. It should be pretty simple. So in this video, I'm going to show you what you get in the packaging. I'll show you how to set it up, how to install it onto your vehicle. And then at the end of the video, we'll decide if it's cool or crap and whether you should buy one. So if you go onto the FenSens website, you'll be able to find this backup camera for $130. And they say that's a discounted price. It says it's normally $250. I can't say what price it's going to be when you actually go out to purchase one, but at the time of recording this video, $130 online. And that's kind of expensive for a product on Cool or Crap. So for 130 bucks, this better work right. So this is the backup camera version, but they also sell a reverse parking sensor version. So it kind of uses proximity sensors to warn you with some beeps when you're getting too close to something. This is probably the more interesting of the two products. I'm glad we got the camera version. All right, so here we go. Pretty nice packaging so far. And it looks like we have some instructions right on top here. So it says scan QR code and download the app, mount device with security screws, and then mount phone and quick launch button. So the first thing that's kind of jumping out at me is this tap button, which they call a quick launch button. So there's a little bit of adhesive on the back of here. And basically, you're just gonna mount this to wherever you want in your car. And the theory is that you should be able to just tap this button and it will pull up the app on your phone without you needing to really touch your phone. Looks like we also have a USB cable. We also get some hardware included. So it looks like we have 3 different size sets of screws here, as well as some of these brackets, and these are used for relocating the plate frame up or down. Let's say you have a bumper mounted license plate and it's kind of making contact with the bumper. You can use this to adjust the position, and that's what those nuts are for also, just to go with these brackets. All over this box and all over their website, it says that this comes with some security screws and a bit. So that would be a Torx bit with Torx screws and kind of that pin that comes out of the middle, which would make it harder for people to steal your license plate frame with the camera in it. But for some reason, these are all Phillips head screws. So we do not have any security screws in the box, even though it says all over the place that it comes with them. And then kind of surrounding all of that, we have the actual license plate frame. The first thing I notice here is this solar panel. We also have our camera and a power button. And other than that, it seems to be a pretty simple frame here. There's a USB port on the bottom, which has this rubber seal to keep water out. And then if you look on the back of the box as well, it says that the battery life lasts 5 months and works between 14 degrees Fahrenheit and 122 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's kind of a talking point right there. Because first of all, it says that the battery life lasts 5 months. And the way that works is you first charge it with the USB cable, give it a few hours to charge up, and then you're supposed to be able to just leave this on your vehicle and not really have to worry about charging it because of the solar panel. And this kind of angles up a little bit, so it's supposed to face the sun. The box says lasts 5 months, but if you go on their website and download the manual, it says that it lasts over a year. So we have very different numbers there. And also the temperature range. If this can only go down to 14 degrees Fahrenheit before it dies, that's not going to work too well here in Colorado because very often it goes below 14 degrees Fahrenheit. So a few question marks there right off the bat. So I'll click on the camera device and it says no camera found. Do you want to add a new camera? Yes, I do. I'll hit this power button, which is right underneath the camera, and it turned red. I'm looking for a blue light. There, we got 2 blue blinks, so we'll start setup here. And right away, it found the camera. So we'll hit the settings app here. And it does want you to allow location access always, so I'll change that. And then I'll go back to my Wi-Fi settings here and see if the network for this license plate frame pairs up. And there we go, Type S 1080p. We'll click on that. No internet connection, that is normal, but it is connected to the network, just doesn't have internet. So I'll go back to the FenSens app, and there you can see it recognized the Wi-Fi network of the frame. So I'll hit continue. And there we go, we have a video feed. And right away, there's not a lot of lag, I can tell, just kind of tilting it up and down. It is pretty instant. So there's that. One thing set up. Let's see if we can pair this quick launch button as well. So I'll go into settings here, manage devices, and then click on tap buttons and add tap. So I'll give the actual button a tap. See if it shows up here. I never got this tap button to show up, but I actually just swapped the battery out for a new one, and it looks like they shipped this tap button to us with the dead battery. So I swapped that out and then it paired up, no problem. I'll come back to this tap button later on, but so far I think it's pretty useless. But anyway, let's get the license plate frame mounted up and then actually go test it out. All right, so we're gonna mount this plate frame up to our Discovery 3. First I have to take off the existing screws here. There we go. Now I can ditch this low-tech frame that we're not going to be using and swap it out with our new one. So obviously with this, you're not going to be able to use the bottom screws. FenSens didn't pay us anything to say anything about their product in this video. They did send it out for review, so I'll keep that clear. It's all mounted up, so let's take it over to what I think is the busiest parking lot in Boulder, Trader Joe's. So before we head over there, there's a few things I want to quickly talk about. First off, I said I'd come back to this tap button. I'm not even going to mount this. The idea is, you would put it somewhere like right there so that you just have easy access to hit the button and pull up the camera viewer on your phone, but it really doesn't work. So if I'm on the home screen of my phone and I hit the tap button, you give it a few seconds and it says the button's been pressed, no duh, and you still have to tap to open the app. So you get a little notification, and that's a limitation within iOS, so I can't say how well this works on Android, but at least on an iPhone, it really doesn't do much from your home screen. Now, if you're in the home screen of the FenSens app and you tap the button, it tells you need to configure your FenSens and brings you to the configuration screen for the parking sensor version of this product. So that's useless. And then if you go home, you can tap on these three little dots here and configure your tap select, but it just tells you that feature is coming soon. So this thing is complete garbage. I don't even know why they included it in the box, but it doesn't work. Now also, while I was trying to figure out how to get that tap button to work, I saw in the manual that you're actually supposed to go into your phone settings and disable cellular data for the FenSens app. So I've done that before we started our testing. That's just supposed to make the video transmission a little bit clearer and less laggy. So I took care of that. And then lastly, on their website, it says that it comes with a mount for your phone, a little magnetic holder so that you don't have to hold your phone while you're backing up. But that of course wasn't included, so I took a different one. We're just gonna use this in its place to be nice and safe, but that's supposed to be included and it's not. All right, so I wanted to pick the Trader Joe's parking lot because one, it's super crowded all the time, and two, these are pretty narrow parking spaces. There's a parking space right here to my right, so I'm gonna pull up to it. I'll hit the FenSens camera option right here, and it says starting player. So we'll drop into reverse and see how long this takes to actually show me a camera view. And while you're waiting for this to pop up, you have to hope that no one gets really angry at you and starts beeping at you, which is about to happen here in half a second. So I'm just gonna go for it without a backup camera, using my mirrors, turning behind me. So far, I gave it probably 15 seconds before I backed in, just using my eyes. And we're all the way in the parking spot now, and it's still trying to start the player. So reliability isn't exactly what you're paying for here. Finally, this pops up and it says it wants to join the network. So it's going to connect, or at least attempt to. And finally, what's that, a full minute later maybe, we have a camera view on here. So I'll pull out real quick and you can kind of get an idea of how laggy this is. So pulling out here, and then I'll back in. And we are moving, but the camera's not. I'm all the way in the parking space. The camera says I'm just about to pull into the parking space. So yeah, I am not impressed at all. Obviously, I made it into the parking space without the help of the backup camera, and now that I'm right up next to it, I can go into the FenSens app, give it a few seconds, it likes to think for a while, starting player, and there we go. If you can see that, we do have a video feed, and it's laggy, but it's not terrible. It at least doesn't totally freeze. So it's working somewhat. But the minute you start to walk up to the front of the car, right there, it's totally frozen now. And we're not even all the way up to where I would mount it. I measured this just now, and it's 10 feet exactly from the front of this door where my phone would sit on the dash to the back where the camera is. 10 feet. And they claim a 33-foot max distance. You're not going to get anywhere near that. So unless you want to hop out of your car, run to your license plate, connect it, well, no, that wouldn't even work because the minute you get back in the car, it would freeze again. So far, totally useless. I want to see how well it works at night at least. Maybe you have a smart car and this would actually be useful for you. So it's not nighttime, but I'm going to take it into a parking garage and at least see if we can see anything in the dark. Now, before I started to test this FenSens camera out, I had a theory, and I thought because it wasn't wired into your vehicle, you'd be able to use it in motion, unlike, a lot of factory backup cameras where the second you put it into drive, the camera turns off. And I thought that would be cool for maybe checking on your bikes if you have some mountain bikes mounted to your hitch, or if you have a small trailer or something, you can keep an eye on it. Stuff like that, but there's no way that's gonna work in motion with something that doesn't even reach when you're parked in a parking lot. It just spins and spins and spins and doesn't even bring up any kind of video, whether it be a super clear one or even just one laggy frame. It won't show you anything while you're moving. All right, so this isn't the darkest parking garage in the world, but it was free to get into, so I'll give you a little demo of how this works in low light. As you can see, you can really make out everything on the screen here. It works pretty well in low light, and even if I cover up the camera completely, you can still see my hand. So as long as there's a little bit of ambient light, you are able to see out of the camera, which there always will be because you'll have your tail lights running and reverse lights if you're backing up. So as far as low light, it works, and that's assuming that you can connect it while sitting in your car. Before I started filming this video, I also had a theory that this would work really well on the back of a trailer. So maybe your vehicle already has a backup camera, but you tow a lot, you don't want to wire a bunch of stuff up. I thought this could be a really cheap and easy way to get some of that new towing tech that you see in all these crazy expensive pickup trucks, super cheap, and you could put it on any trailer and any vehicle. So I was hoping that would work, but there's no truck and trailer combination that's going to be under 10 feet long. This won't even last 10 feet from the Land Rover seating position to the back of the Land Rover. That is still a shot of when I was pulling out of the parking garage, and it's been frozen like that for a good 2 minutes. So my hopes of being able to use this as a backup camera on a trailer are completely crushed. Lastly, before I wrap this review up, I said I would talk about the FenSens app. So I'm on the home screen of the app right now, and think of it as kind of like a dashboard for while you're driving. So you have quick access to the sensor and the camera, depending on which one of those products you have. You just tap on it and it should bring you into those. You also have Apple Maps and Apple Music, which you can quick launch, so you just tap those and it will open the app right up. And then if you tap up here, you can actually modify what apps you want here. So personally, I don't use Apple Maps or Apple Music, but I do use Waze and Spotify. So I can change that around right there, have the apps that I use while I'm driving right there, easy to access. Theoretically, this would be cool to have up while you're driving, but because the camera really doesn't work, I don't see a need to use this dashboard app. All right, so what are my final thoughts on this FenSens wireless backup camera? Is it cool or crap? I have to say, I think it's crap. Out when I was testing this, I could never get it to work right, and I tried multiple times. It would either not connect at all, or it would take way too long to connect, and once it did, it would pretty much just show you a solid frame or be extremely laggy. It was totally unusable unless you were right next to it. Now here in the office testing, I'm able to get it to work right. So I'll open the FenSens app, and of course I'm right next to it right now, but I am able to get a little bit more range here in the office. Once you open it, it asks you to join. But testing here in the office isn't testing in the real world, and that's what we do here at TFL. I couldn't get it to work right in the real world. So we're still waiting on it to open right next to the license plate frame, and finally, that's like a 15-20 second process. It finally opens, and it is usable here. It's definitely not laggy, you can tell what's going on, but like I said, we test things in the real world, and I couldn't get it to work in the real world. Now let's pretend for a second that it did work perfectly. Would I still give it that crap rating, or would I think it's cool? And I have to say, even if this thing worked like it's supposed to, I still think I would give it the crap rating here on Cool or Crap. And here's why. First of all, you don't get what you pay for. So it says it comes with security screws, and those were not included. It also says that it comes with a phone mount, and that wasn't included as well. So you're not getting what they advertise comes with it. Also, this tap button doesn't work, and I know that that's kind of a limitation in iOS. iOS won't allow a third-party device like this to launch an app from the home or lock screen, but even within the FenSens app, if you press this, it takes you to the wrong screen. This just doesn't work right. Now, on top of that, I reached out to their support team to try and get an answer as to why this wasn't working from about 10 feet away on the Land Rover, and it took them over 2 weeks to get back to me, and I sent them multiple emails trying to get an answer, and when they finally did get back to me, their only answer was that they might have to replace this, it might be a defective unit. They still didn't really give me a good answer, so their support is really bad. I was very unhappy with how my support went. Again, pretty unacceptable for a $200 product. And also, I got a notification on my phone that the FenSens app was tracking my location even when I wasn't using it. So I have about a 45-minute commute from here at the office in Boulder to where I live, and it showed me on a map about every 5 minutes on my drive home, it was tracking my location, which definitely sketched me out a little bit. So I wasn't super impressed with the support, what came in the box, and obviously it didn't work right at all. So not too happy with this product right here, but let me know down in the comments if you've actually used one of these. Maybe you have better luck than I do, but like I said, testing in the real world, I couldn't get this to work. If you really need a backup camera to be able to install onto your vehicle, I would say stay away from this, go to a wired option. Yes, it will be harder to install, but it's going to be cheaper and more reliable in the long run. So there you have it, guys. There's my review of the FenSens wireless backup camera. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to go back to TFLcar.com for more news, views, and real-world reviews.